Good morning, everyone. All right, so nothing of surprise going on here. Um, Yesterday, we anticipated the upward would slow, that resistance, and this morning things are lower, pulling back. How far will they pull back? Always a question. We'll see where they're at. It's a decent sized gap down, almost to the bottom of that green bar on the Qs there. The 50 is in the way, and this unfilled gap, which would be pretty sizable decline, shouldn't go down there based on that gap up. But as we spoke about yesterday, it's anticipated we'll probably be in a trading range for a while. So spending some time maybe in the middle of the trading range would be normal. So see where they're gapping down to just above the 50 MA. This pivot high up there, I'm sure would become some support. This bar is low, and we'd have to see where it goes from there. So the gap is one part of the retracement. Looking at the cursor on the hourly chart, let me spread that out a little bit. And there's little to no support there. So it's a little tiny unfilled gap there. It's kind of, yeah, a little unfilled gap. So somewhere in here, right, it's always an area, right, somewhere in there. So buyers should show up, and we'll see how far they hold in there. But that would be the area where they should hold, assuming they're going to continue to go down. And I do. You can see the start of the move here. Momentum increased before things began to stall here. And typically, um, you'll get another move down where the distance here between these turns get a little smaller, and it'll happen in this area. We'll see it begins to stabilize and where it goes from there. Right, spiders, similar pre-market pattern. Uh, Not gapping down as far as the Qs, middle of that green bar. Got room to go before getting to a support area down there. Give or take 512 in that area is the unfilled gap, the 50 MA. So you've got the alignment of a moving average with some support there. So that 512 area should give or take, try and hold. You got this pivot high there. So with that thought, we'd take a look at SPX and where the premiums are. Ideally, it'd be below that bottoming tail bar's low. So we always look at SPY to see where they're trading, and then look at SPX where a idea is being about in the same area, give or take. So the bottom strike is right there on that 50 MA, and that close 5,200 should be a no-brainer not to get back up there. So it's gapping down here, unlikely to get there. If we can get some kind of an early retracement off of the low, anything above 5,200, odds are it's not going to get through that whole number yesterday. Um, we took note of that level as prices were going up right here, and how it looked like it could possibly go through it. When they come up to a whole number where there's going to be a lot of options activity aligned with that, it rarely ever gets through it on the first attempt. It could make a little peak above it, but rarely does it keep going on the first attempt. And it didn't suggest it would come down like this, but it's certainly not a place where you want to hit the buy button, especially after, retracing from a low point to take out a high point at a whole number. It's just, unless you're giving it a humongous stop, which, hindsight wouldn't have worked. But anyway, it's just a bad place to enter, at resistance and a whole number, that little, I don't really call it a gap, but inside gap, what we would refer to that inside gap up there in between the bars. So yeah, wasn't a surprise to see it back off from there. All right. Um, our transports not doing much of anything. You know, third rejection trying to get through the 200 MA. 50 is getting closer, coming down over the top. It is at this pivot. Likely it's going to pull back a little bit more. Some of the truckers were beaten down pretty good. Um, JBHT, yeah, JBHT was stabilizing, but at resistance there, maybe another retest. Broke through this low there. Bunch of oil numbers coming out today, but this is a level of interest since it's look at all the it's gone a little below 160, but it's a pretty significant level where it's held in the past. So being extended like this, the gap down, part of a bottoming process. And the industrials stuck at resistance, repeating everything we covered yesterday, that all of these indices were coming up to areas of resistance where it was likely they would stall, especially after several days being up. And we'll just see how far they retrace. And that's the title for today's MT Live. So kind of timely that we'll be talking about retracements. Join us at 12 o'clock, 12 to 1 for MT Live. We'll be covering retracements and how to utilize them in different ways. All right, so this has a big unfilled gap down below. Wouldn't anticipate it getting there today. 50 MA for the Dow, setting an alert at that level. There is some support there. You don't have to keep an eye on these indices, but it's a good thing to have an alert where they would be coming down to. All right. So we looked at the cues. NASDAQ rallied deeply into that resistance. It's coming in a little bit, and we'll see how far it goes. Interest rates are up a bit, but they've broken down. Yesterday, I had an alert here, so pointed out in the green room, TBT, just tagged the 200 MA, and buyers came in not too strongly, but formed a bottoming tail bar. So being aware of that, interest rates going up, S&P where they were, likelihood they were going to correct a bit. So where is it here? Tough to tell with these dots, looks like. But gapping up into, that gap down. So pretty deep retracement on the interest rates off of that low here this morning. Don't look like much of anything, just looking at the 10-year futures. But little rejections there. They're not dropping very much. And stalling, making the turn. So all of these charts suggest, a little bit of bearishness for the markets if interest rates and the dollar would move up here a little bit. And, into resistance. So, and just these charts don't support a bias of something making a big move here. I don't know how much oil those oil numbers can move things. I suppose if oil rockets higher, that would put some pressure on the markets and vice versa. But crude oil has already gone through its correction. So you wouldn't think it's going to collapse. And if it did break lower, it would probably find buyers. You can see the area here, broken down under the moving averages, down on major support, buyers stepping up here. And all of those numbers, I believe they're at 10 o'clock. And 10:30. 10:30. Bunch of oil numbers coming. And then you got a few Fed guys. Well, Jefferson and Collins and Cook at 1:30. So who knows what they're going to say? Probably the same stuff. Bitcoin, coming in a little bit. whether this is, a downside shakeout. We just don't know these patterns, until they develop more. So here was, the drop. Now the depth of that retracement there, and it puts it into a neutral situation. And now if it can go sideways a few days, and I can see it's down here, if it can pop up a little bit and hang around this area, then we would start thinking this could move back up. It's too early yet. Gold kind of uptrend, stair stepping, not ready, no big bars. Maybe coming down to the 50 there. Put your alert there. Silver, you had that move, but just set an alert above that bar. Let's just see. It doesn't cost anything to set an alert. See what happens. WM. Same story, resistance. How far is it gapping down? Well, it's pretty sizable. That should tag the 50 MA. See where the cursor is on the daily chart. And just above 200. Put that horizontal line to have an alert there. Won't take too much more to get down there. So a lot of lines of defense, not too far away for these markets that are gapping lower. So the Dow, we don't get too much activity there, but likely to touch the 50, the semiconductors, which have been where the strength started, rolling over here a little bit, gapping down, looks like below the 50. So it's a little more downside. KRE, the regionals are up at the top of the trading range and reverse down again. So everything pretty much is suggesting a little more correction. And what we'll be interested in is not these fib things, which I don't even know how this is set up here. Maybe I got them at like 70, 80% just for trends, but eyeballing here to here, somewhere in this gap fill or above, I think that line is at 50%. I think so. 50%, yeah. That would be a reasonable retracement as they get past there. But even if it came into this unfilled gap, somewhere in here is where I think buyers would want to step up a bit more aggressively. Now, whether it's this minor support point, now it doesn't matter that we're looking at the retailing index. This could be the S&P, it could be the Qs, it could be anything. The analysis is the same. Pivot low, pivot high, how much it retraces. The deeper it comes back down to major support, the more bearish it would be. Right? So we'll see how far this comes down. We'll assess that. We'll see where it makes it a green bar, a turn, a continuation pattern, whatever it's going to do. But as we look at these indices, you do it the same thing somewhere in here, right? Middle of this trading range. It's all we got right now. So put it in perspective that, what's happening until proven otherwise, we just got a wide, whippy trading range to deal with until things calm down, which looks like it's going to take a while. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. All right, let's jump right to earnings. We have a ton of them, and I went through them and deleted a bunch already. I did not do any earnings trades, but there's definitely more accidents, Grid calls them, meaning we define that as just a crazy big old gap that the pattern didn't suggest. So let me go to the top of the list here, but yeah, Delta Victor right there is getting killed. And then I'll obviously talk about the ones that I think are set up to watch for new trades. All right, ribbon here, 960. Yeah, Alex made the comment. We had a nice volume MT live a week or so ago, and look at the volume spike. So there was a lot of people, getting bullish into this thing, into earnings, and they're in pain right now. Lyft and Uber both had earnings. Now this one I like. Um, if it can, number one, get over yesterday's high, number two, actually pre-market high. That's 1736. I'm gonna set an alarm 1755. Because then that'd be a nice, kind of measured move type thing, maybe target top of the range. Since we're looking at him, let's look at his cousin, Uber. Its cousin is getting smacked, which is a little rare. Usually the number one cousin, um, trades closer, but no, they each had their own independent earnings report, and that's more important, but nothing to do there. That's a stay away. Oh, as an aside, so I don't forget, WBA I posted as a bear 123 long puts. Going to buy the 18 puts. We found this during coaching last night. We had a great session. You know, Greg always says the factory work, and so we spent a lot of time going over patterns and saying, all right, let's apply our checklist. Is it a directional? Is it an income trade? Is there earnings? Is there tight spreads? Is there adequate premium? What strategy do you want to use on it based on your bias? And we just did that over and over and over again. Oh, thanks, Rocco. And this one was a product of that coaching session. Got a pattern, got tight spreads, no earnings. We're going to buy 10 DTE, or 9 actually, now, day later. Got paying gap down, that's a call spread candidate if the spreads are tight and adequate premium. So, whenever I say it's a candidate, that means you got to go through my checklist. All right, this is a big old nasty gap on Zulu India. It's nasty. So I'll just come back in 30 minutes and see what it's done, and most likely take it off my list at that time. Lazar here, no pattern, you're gone. Like I said, I've already deleted a ton of these. This is a bull rectangle, gold, 30-minute high. Looks higher. Tossed, I like. Just this is also a big bullish consolidation here, gapping up, top of the range. Let's watch a pullback. That looks great. Here, I'll type my final ones in this other computer. FSM, another bull rectangle, and this one's holding a tad better than that other gold stock I just looked at. Breakout daily, weekly, monthly. So is this gold too? FSM? I don't really know. But that looks fantastic. Yeah, Merck, we talked about. Yeah, no, Merck. I said yesterday morning you could start nibbling 15-minute high. And then, look, it just maintained its strength all day. But it's too extended now for me to do anything. Where would your entry and stop be? Alex mentioned DOW yesterday, and I also liked that, but it ripped into the close. But I also made a point over and over yesterday saying, the markets were at an expected turning point. So I was going to be incredibly careful on what new long positions we took. You know, Mitch, nasty gap down, looks horrible. Daily, weekly, monthly, look for short of bounce. CFLT, bullish gap. See, that's nice. Gap and resistance, but it's a bullish shock. Gapping over 2 bars. So how aggressive do I want to get into this? Well, not at all. Let's see what it does in 30 minutes. And then I'll update my opinion. Oxy gapping down a little bit, a call spread idea. Oh, we also talked about in coaching. Where are you? Below. That's a little bear flag. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we talked about both a Friday call spread, the 160s, and we also talked about, you know, a directional. We also talked about NDB, which we put on yesterday, a call spread. So we're already in that. We talked about Algin call spread. Back to earnings, Shillis, no interest. I mean, that thing's gotten pounded. Reddit's upside surprise, one of the few. You know, I heard on CNBC that they have a $8 billion market cap and they barely make any money. I mean, the market's excited because it was a positive, but all right, EA, that's a nasty gap, but it's down so much already. So, I don't know. I don't know. We'll come back to it. Delta Victor just getting creamed. Wow. So I don't have a bias, but if buyers step up right at the gate and I get a big wide range bar, I would consider a 2 DTE foot spread. Delta Victor's technology. They're not doing so good, but you can see their last earnings, they also got killed over here. And Kind, it's, you know, 30-minute high, it's bullish. We'll come back. You know, I don't have many tier ones other than that WBA. A lot of these other ones are maybes. So we're 30-minute high, 4G Pro, a dog. Brothers, 31. Gap's too big, need a pullback. Win, I like. Win, I like. Gap up here. I'm going to put this, well, I have it in a window right here, middle window. I said yesterday, if it were to go sideways for another week or so, that's an inverse head and shoulder. But, you know, doesn't mean we can't trade it now as a continuation pattern. But I would want that to take out 30-minute high. Tiva bottom right, another one here that looks good. 14 gapping up here. So look, this is a great example. Well, almost every chart is, but this is a great example of what we're going to talk about today in MT Live. So I'll give you and we're going to divide it up. And it's another one of these, I think, top 5 topics. It's just the way we present it is just, you know, mind revealing. And so we're going to break it up into what percent it retraced and what the meaning of that is. So this, from pivot high to pivot low, just eyeball it. Retrace about 85 to 90%. So that's bullish. I'm thinking bullish. Do I then get a pullback buy setup? Now this one is a bull rectangle gap breakout. So come to MT Live today, regardless of how many years you've been in it. ALAB, recent IPO, gapping down. Odd 3460. There's a nice gapper. There you go. I'll put that in a window, another 30-minute high. Maybe 10, maybe 15. I don't know. But what I do know is I'll tell you when I see it. So subscribe to the green room and you'll watch us analyze it in real time. All right, go, another disaster. iRobot, I set an alarm at 9:40. Bottoming pattern. but it needs to break out. I see call spread idea. Things that rally like this. Well, I can't tell for sure. I see a gap here at 55.80, but it's not liquid. But my bias is whether you open up, down, or sideways, 30-minute low short a call spread for Friday. Candidate. So that means, liquidity premium, blah, blah. GFF. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Another gapper with a void. Sure. I'll put that in the window. GFF. Doe. Gapping up, no pattern. LZ, another disaster gap, but it's right here at this prior low. So this would be a candidate to 30-minute high short a 2 DTE put spread. 21 bucks, gap's too big. Opening flat, no, kind of looks like a buyout, no interest. It's at the top of the range. I like these other ones better. Now, very is a candidate for gapping out, breaking out of this bottoming pattern. I have an alarm at 375. Top of the range, that needs to go sideways. This would have been a good one if it gapped down, little bear flag with a void, but it's gapping up, so I have no interest. Opening flat, nothing, opening flat, the support thing, short 30-minute low. Sam, what are you talking about? This, no pattern, shows it gapping down $4. GXO, I have an up alarm, I think 51.75. Well, I don't want to get into a discussion of labeling of a bull cat. I mean, a pro versus bullish. We define pro as it ignites a new move. So it's bullish for sure. Gap into the top of the range here, well, over the range with a void. So it's a bull. Let's just leave it at that for now. We can talk about it more in the green room. Gato, opening flat, no interest. Here's a disaster gap. Wowzer. So this and Delta Victor are the two poster children today. I see one print, Massey 130. If so, call spread, but I also have an up alarm. If it takes out yesterday's high, I love it as a put spread. Pub M opening flat, 30-minute high idea. This gapping up. So this one, the gap's too big. But if it were gapping to the top of the range, then I'd say 30-minute high. Oh, that's all ring. Ring. This could be the start of a bottoming process, but things beaten down. Look at the monthly. Look at that. It used to be 450 bucks. So I'm going to start watching it. Could be the start. My gin gap's too big. Inta gap's too big. Quartrix bottoming pattern. Lift up alarm. So yeah, lift. There's no entry now, but that's a beautiful bullish gap over a red bar, and the buyers are coming right out. So it's a matter of how aggressive you want to be to get on. I don't trade earnings in the first 5 minutes, or pretty much anything for that matter. So let's just see what it does in 5 minutes. All right, this GFF I see moving up. So I'm just not chasing though. The gap's too big now. Odd I see moving up. There's another bull gap. But that's a big old move. You gotta be patient. Wow, look at Win, middle chart, giving it up. So I'm just gonna set a new alarm at Win at 98.50 and just move on. Not even worry about him anymore. And maybe we get our scenario of going sideways for a week and get our inverse head and shoulder. Oh, Tesla, we got to use 30-minute low. That thing is down on more bad news. Tick negative 800. All right, so done with him. Below alarm, call spread idea, 5-minute low. Home Depot alarm. Shoot, we have a half a lot. What is our stop on this? I always have early stops. We got a monster stop, 330.97. WBA is triggering. So Home Depot is an early alarm, but WBA, the 9 DTE, 18 puts are 85. All right, so we got price improvement here. CFLT. Yeah. Yeah, TiVo, look, gap and go. But you say, our tier one analysis is the majority of the time very accurate. EQH alarm. I think PFGC alarm. Ah, a gap negated. I mean, yeah, a bear gap that bullies. So that is a put spread idea. Wow, for that to fill the gap in 5 minutes. Usually they take about 30. So that's strength. MOD low alarm. I think it's hitting our trail stop. All right, EQH 39 low. MOD. All right, let me put some of this. EFGC 68 puts. There are no 68s. And there's no weeklies, so that messes that up for us. MOD, yeah, I had tightened the stop yesterday to 102.46, so that trail stopped out. But we sold some, we met our first third target at the high. Very up alarm, that's a bottoming pattern. Three oh seven. There we made nice money on mod. I'll take it. Oh, that Merc is relative strengths again. GXO alarm. Another gap negated. Let's see if there's any $50 puts here. Yeah, my alarm went off on that pre-market, Sam. I meant to look at it again. Spreads 10 cents by 95 on this frigging jerk. $50 puts. EQH stopping out break even.